everybody to our free webinar on becoming a totally motivated leader. We're extremely excited to see everybody here today, and I can see that there are already 18 attendees in, and that list of individuals is growing, which is wonderful, wonderful news. A special welcome in particular to, I know that we have a number of people that are interested in the role that we're offering around promoting and also facilitating the course that we're presenting today. So we're very excited that you're here with us. I can see that we have a number of our authors as well as some of our wider stakeholders. So we're very, very excited to have you, and we're looking forward to an engaging session. So first of all, a very big welcome to the onboarding part of the process. Please do use our chats for comments and questions. We're going to have a Q&A session at the end, and it's very important that we address any questions that there are in terms of follow-up. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be interacting on menti.com, which is the tool that you see us presenting on. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the voting instructions for that. And what you're going to need to do is to take your phone and either follow the QR code so that you can get in that way. The simplest and easiest way to do it to get into the QR code is just to point your camera and take the picture. But alternatively, use whatever mechanism that you normally use to go into the internet on your phone. Go to mentimeter.com menti.com and type in the code 52446. We're going to make sure that those instructions sit clearly for you at the top as we move forward, and we're going to do the onboarding part of the process by asking a question just to check that you've managed to get in. We are very keen that you do interact because we will be listening to you today and recording the session so that we're able to share it wider as well. So just be conscious of that as you go through the process. And the first question for everyone, just to see that you're onboarding and getting in successfully, is to give us your names. And already I can see that we've got a welcome for Lisa. Louise is in. Welcome, Louise. First to Troy. Welcome, Troy. And Evan and Gavin. Welcome to us. Daniela's in. That's 6 in already. I can see that we're sitting at least 18 people dialed in. Welcome, Zita. It's successfully onboarded in terms of getting into menti.com. Just navigate with your phone through to menti.com and use the code 52446, and then you'll be in a position to interact with us here today. I can see that there are a couple more of you, 20 dialed in. I'm just going to give you a moment to onboard. Go for it. Suzanne's in. Well done, Suzanne. That's 8 in. Let's see if we can get a little bit more participation in terms of menti.com. If you're struggling to get in, that instruction, which is go to menti.com and use the code 52446, is going to stay at the top. Welcome, Shanae. Welcome and well done for getting in there. Do continue to try and get in because we want to ask lots of questions. Dalian, welcome, Dalian. Fantastic. We're able to download the results that come out of this, and so it's quite important for us because we're able to follow up and help out, with any of the questions and any of the interactions that you have. Menti.com, an awesome interactive tool. Okay, so stepping forward, question I'm going to ask. You can see that the name of the webinar is Becoming a Totally Motivating Leader. Is why is leadership important? Why would we want to become a totally motivated leader? Give us some ideas and some thoughts, and then we'll see how we play with those as we go through the course of the webinar. Why is it that we would see leadership as being important? And think about it in the context of work, but think about it in the context of your wider life as well. Think about it in terms of the times that we're living in with COVID-19 working its way through our landscape at a socio level, at an economic level. Why would we need leadership? And give us some input as to why you think leadership is important. I think that the cogs must be truly turning here. Doesn't need to be long, just a phrase. It can be one word or so. Ooh, here we've got some inputs coming in. Okay, to help to motivate one's team, absolutely, really important. And then to inspire and to set out examples of, for those around you that help people to enable them and to become successful. I think that's definitely true. To motivate and to set targets and goals. It looks like with leadership we're going somewhere. To provide guidance and help, also very, very important. Helps us to be able to get everyone on the journey, to manage a broader team and to give clear goals, to be able to interact with others, with our employees, and to know how they are working and how they feel, to give us direction in times of crisis. I think that's a very salient one right now, isn't it? We all need a bit of direction, and leadership can be very helpful in terms of providing and guiding us along the pathway that we want to follow. So there are some very, very strong ideas around why leadership is important. And hopefully we're just going to play with those and enrich them as we go through the course of the journey. But before we do that, I want to introduce myself and also my amazing co-host, Suzanne. So my name's Christy, and I'm the CEO and I'm the founder of Impanda. And we're an organization that specializes in online learning and change management and leadership and coaching. And it's my great pleasure to be sharing this course with you today. Someone just gave us a love heart down at the bottom of the Mentimeter. Always very excited when that happens. Thank you. And let me introduce my co-host, Suzanne. Suzanne, tell everyone about yourself and your role.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Groves. So I'm in charge of operations here at Impanda, and I'm also Impanda's principal consultant. I'm literally involved in all business areas of Impanda, from recruitment and building our products, account management of change and training consultant at our clients' sites, to our transformation advisory and content development capability. And I'm also involved with the Juno Learning Management System and its implementation, and our Author Accelerator initiative. So you're more than welcome to address any questions to me personally on our social media channels or our website, and also to contact me directly if you need help to start with any of our initiatives. So during this session, you're welcome to post your questions in the chat box, and I will make sure that Christy gets your questions during the webinar to answer them in the end. So I'm really happy to help. Sit back and relax and enjoy the webinar.
Okay, so well, thank you very much indeed, Suzanne, and welcome to the journey, everyone. Okay, so here, it's always useful to start with some statistics, isn't it? And this is quite an interesting one. 83% of organizations say that it's important to develop leaders at all levels, but only 5% have, according to the Brandon Hall Research Group, which is interesting, isn't it? 85% of organizations say it's important to develop leaders at all levels, but only 5% have. And that couples with a lot of other statistics. It was actually hard to choose which stats to pull out for this webinar because there are so many. 63% of millennials say that their leadership skills are not being fully developed, and we also know that there's a cost associated with poor leadership. It's well known that 1 in 2 employees have actually left their job in order to get away from a manager at some point in their career. It's the single biggest reason for talented individuals leaving your organization. And at the same time, there's a huge body of evidence that says that when people do invest in leadership skills, you see immediate benefits. 82% of the people that are reporting to a manager that has recently been through a leadership development and training have witnessed positive change. The Conference Board and Development Dimensions International did a report that had a very large number of participants. 82% said that there were benefits. They actually went as far as to say what the benefits were. They said that they had 114% higher sales, that 71% higher customer satisfaction, 42% better operational efficiency, 300% more referral to the business, 233% extra cross-selling. So these seem to be primarily around business actually doing better in terms of sales and money coming in. But it goes further, 36% higher productivity coming out of teams, 90% less absenteeism, 49% reduced overtime, and 105% fewer grievances raised, with 11% less downtime. The list goes on. 90% less rework, 60% fewer accidents in the workplace, and 77% lower staff turnover. And these sorts of statistics are well published. So we know that when we invest in leadership, we get benefits. Question becomes who for? So on the Menti, I'm going to ask you your next question, and it is, who is that training important for? Is it important that it's for, you know, managers, the people that are actually leading teams? Or is it important for all team members? Or is it actually important for everyone? I mean, beyond the workplace, actually everyone in society. You can answer for more than one of the options. And what was lovely about the feedback there immediately is that there are people already saying it's for everyone. And I'd argue that that's definitely the case. And one of the key messages that we want to land here today is that leadership is something that we do, even if the person that we're primarily focused on leading is ourselves. But we all have the potential and the power to influence those around us. And that is an act of leadership, and it's accessible to all. I can see very strong feedback coming in that we're looking at it being, you know, sort of seen as important by you across the board, which is a very encouraging start. The question becomes then, if we know it's so important, why aren't we doing more leadership training? You know, why is there that gap between 83% of people thinking it's important and only 5% of organizations taking place and really doing it? Is it because it's too expensive and that there aren't, you know, products on the market that you can afford to buy if you're an organization? Is it because you're so keen to keep your people there working that you're not prepared to release them and allow them to take time out from work despite the benefits that we can see? Is it because we don't believe in that benefit? We don't think it's true. It's just a bunch of numbers and we're not really going to get the benefit, or that people haven't seen those benefits and don't realize that they're out there? Is it because we actually don't see people that are in teams or that are operating as managers or as individuals as leaders? We don't think of ourselves as leaders. Or because the courses out there, are they long, complicated, theoretical and boring? Is it because we don't know which course to go on, really? We don't have access to courses, and that, I think, you know, can be because of it's too expensive point. Looks like on this one we're getting sort of quite strong feedback on it might be that they're expensive and the time out from work points. It also looks like the courses being long and complicated is something that we're seeing as resonating. We don't think, it looks like, that we don't believe that it's because there isn't a benefit. So it looks like we're thinking that we believe that there is a benefit. And we also don't think that it's because we're seeing our people as leaders. So we know that we're leaders, we believe in the benefits. We've got access to the courses, but they're long and complicated. They take too much time out of work, and they're a little bit too expensive for our taste, which is interesting feedback, isn't it? We might already be thinking about what the right answer might be here. We've had a long pathway towards thinking about this, and it started when, around about 2 years ago, we launched something called the Oasis Leadership Course, and the leaders that came on that course, they immediately started to talk about the importance of leadership training at a wider level, and in particular for motivation of people. And we put together a series of day-long motivational journeys, but one of them in particular was inspired by the idea of becoming a totally motivated leader. It's a course that we've worked through on a face-to-face basis, but that we've just finished pivoting into an online and virtual format. which can be really important when you consider our motivation levels, given that we're quite separated because of social distancing and remote working. And maybe something in the marketplace that can help that becomes really important as an offering and an idea. Leadership is an interesting one because it can be considered to be daunting. And what we thought was really important was to demystify it and to make it practical and to enable a common language for us to talk in terms of leadership easily. What we thought that we needed was a framework that would be very easy to use. And so we were extremely excited when we came across the idea of TOMO. Now, TOMO stands for Total Motivation. And there's the most amazing book about it. It's been written by an organization called Vega Factor. It's called Primed to Perform. And if you're academic and interested in the theory, it's got the theory and in abundance. There is a tremendous amount of science that's been done that sits behind this framework. But the science and the facts and the theory wasn't what was really attractive about the idea of TOMO to us. What we loved about it was its simplicity and how it really explained how motivation works in a way that's really find quite persuasive. And here's the theory, is that quite often in business, we think about things a little bit back to front. We say, right, that's it. We need business results. We must make money. In that case, we better make our customers and consumers really happy. Gosh, we better engage our employees so that they make the customers happy. And I suppose that we can put on some stuff to make their organizational climate where they operate happy. Let's look at our leadership and teams. And the thinking behind total motivation is that it's actually much more effective to do it the other way around. The reason that we do it the other way around is that the business results are actually just the outcome at the end of the story. And that if we focus on our leadership and our teams, that will create an organizational climate that inspires great performance and employee engagement, and that motivated employees and teams will result in customers that are engaged and happy. And engaged and happy customers give you business results. And so that piece of sequencing is really important. But what is even more exciting is that the total motivation idea then starts to look at motivation as a really important thing for leaders and teams to be working at. And they break it down into having sort of simply six key drivers. And our course really focuses on the three that are to do with the light. So there are three things that lift your motivation, and there are three things that faintly depress it. And we're going to whip through this super quickly just so that you can see where we're coming from. The first and most powerful motivator is actually play. And play is when we're enjoying the work that we do. And funnily enough, one of the main reasons that we enjoy the work that we do is that we enjoy working with the team that we work. But this can also be because we actually just practically, physically really enjoy the nature of the job that we are engaging in. So play is enjoying it. It's not necessarily having a high stakes party, because some people enjoy playing because they're doing the creative thing that they really, really love to do. You might find that there's somebody super mathematical that just gets playful joy out of all of the numbers adding up. So play, the first and most important driver of team motivation. It's followed up by purpose, and purpose is critically important. Because it's about the why. Why do we do what we're doing? It's about finding meaning. You could find it in a teacher who feels truly inspired and real purpose in helping people to learn so that they are able to take their pathway in life. It can be somebody that works in medical who really believes in the importance of helping people to heal. It can be a waitress in a restaurant who just really enjoys creating a fantastic dining experience for customers that are there. Feeling purpose in what we do is really important. And quite often the purpose that we find is best seen at a top level organizational level rather than within the nitty gritty of the particular task that we do, which is another reason why team play is quite important. because it's what we're doing as a team together that leads to our higher level vision. The third thing that's really important as a factor is our feeling of potential. And that is that when we're doing the work that we do, we feel that it's taking us on our pathway in life, that it's taking us where we want to go. And that's really important because we invest ever so much more when there's something in us that makes us feel like we're making a successful investment. And potential is interesting because potential can be about listening to your people and being curious, and about displaying a coaching mindset and just being sort of into where people are, showing that you care, listening. And these three positive factors, play, purpose, and potential, help to conquer the three risks. And the risks are emotional pressure. Emotional pressure is when we feel bullied, or people are being unkind to us, or we are feeling uncomfortable in our skin and our ability to be our own identity, and we have feelings that make us feel uncomfortable about what we do. Economic pressure, which is strongly related to fear that we're going to lose our job, that we're going to lose revenue, and that we're going to experience life consequences. Economic pressure is a deadly demotivator. But the third, and interestingly, according to the science, most powerful demotivator is actually a thing called inertia, which is just for whatever reason we've become disengaged. Perhaps we became bored. Perhaps we experienced too much emotional and economic pressure. Perhaps there was no play, purpose, and potential. And we've forgotten why it is that we get up and go to work. We're not really listening. We're doing the most practical, minimalistic job we can possibly do. And what's curious about this engagement and inertia is that it's the easiest of the negative motivations to work with. And it's also the most powerful. So our most powerful negative is inertia, and our most powerful positive is play. And there's a bit of a relationship that looks there. And so I'm going to ask you a question at this point. Which do you think is most powerful? Think about you yourself, how you're motivated. Think about those around you. Between play, purpose, and potential, where is it that you sit? I mean, we want to have a little bit of a blend of all three, don't we? Just rate all three and let's have a little look at what comes out. And we've got a strong hit immediately on purpose, which is really encouraging to see. I think that we as Impanda work heavily in the leadership and the learning space, and so purpose tends to be really important for us. We got play coming up as a second there, which is great to see, and sort of potential coming in. So we've got 8 in, we've got purpose, we're leading with purpose. What's curious is that play comes out as being the most powerfully loaded, although all three are extremely important. And I think that the key point around the Becoming Totally Motivated Leaders course is that it's a framework that looks quite simply at these three levers, which is a great way of really sort of simplifying what it is that we need to do as leaders, and having a conversation about it within the businesses that we work. So purpose coming out there is number one. And I think that what we need at the moment is we do need motivational leadership. And one of the things that we do when we think about leaders is we think about role models and awesome leaders that there are out there. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you a few of my favorites. I think everyone probably has their favorite leaders. I'm not even going to tell you necessarily what their names are as they come past, because I think they'll be so famous that you'll probably have heard of most of them. But let's just look at some leaders and think about these people as we just skip through. I wonder if you've seen this one. Absolutely outstanding. This one. This is an amazing leader doing an incredible job. There's this one. And how about this one? How did this one lead? And this one. We all know who this one is. And this one. That's a good leader. This one. This is definitely one of my favorite leaders. And this one, been in the news a lot lately. Here are some leaders for you. What about this one? Yeah, I can see, like, to be expected, the hearts flow as soon as you show this one. So there are 9 leaders. What I'd like you to do is to vote for your favorite. Think about those ones there. Hopefully you've heard them. I'm prepared to release the names now. You've got Elon, who's leading the race to Mars and to space. You've got Oprah, who leads really empowerment of people and helps us to understand and to sort of engage. There's Greta, who's leading on climate change. The site essentially starting out just as a schoolgirl who had a point to make. Gandhi, a really important leader in terms of peaceful freedom. You've got Desmond Tutu, a fantastically important leader in terms of South Africa's history. Simon Sinek, really always enjoy his thought leadership around leadership. There's Ntolo, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her shortly. And then there's Jacinda, who's been doing a spectacular job of leading New Zealand. She's been very, very well covered in the press. Einstein, thought leader in terms of science. That's quite interesting, isn't it? It's quite interesting. We've got Jacinda coming out tops as being preferred, along with Einstein and Desmond Tutu. Oprah and Greta are both getting a vote. Yeah, shame for Elon and Gandhi and Ntolo. So let's move forward. I'm going to ask you a question. If you think about the leader that you chose, why did you choose them? What is it that makes them an awesome leader as far as you're concerned? Just put a word or a very short phrase. Why is it? Oh, I got a lovely one that's coming in straight away. Walk the talk. That's a really good one, isn't it? Playing a really sound role model. Honesty and direct. Oh, there's some values. Someone that's, sort of communicating and being clear about their thinking. There is a certain clarity to leaders, isn't there? Good leaders. Young, energetic in the future. Absolutely. And that speaks to innovation, doesn't it? It's somewhere that we want to go, painting a vision and a story and a picture of where it is that we want to be. Leading by example, extremely important. Passion and transparency, believing in the cause, but also showing how you do it, being prepared to share, being inspirational, definitely. And then the Jacinda one, I'm assuming the strong mom leading, proving it wrong, that old assumption that you can't do it all, amazing, inspirational leader. We've got coming in, able to adapt to the current climate and to pivot ideas for all interested parties. I think this is a very nice one because it talks about the ability to find consensus and to bring people together and to make it about us rather than about me or I and you, which is such an important skill, and to broker ideas about the direction that needs to be taken. And then we've got someone saying Oprah's women empowered, and also the fact that she gives back to educational institutions. Definitely. I think we strongly value education, and it is such an amazing thing to invest in because of what it does for our future and how it empowers people. So there's some really good, sort of points around what it is that we're seeking and what we're looking for. And what's interesting is I don't think that any of the points there are controversial, are they? All of them resonate, and they're very good reasons for choosing our leaders. It seems to be the case that we know what we're looking for. But sometimes we do an interesting thing. I kind of made the assumption, rightly or wrongly, that nobody would vote for this leader, and nobody did. I don't have hundreds of people. There are only around about 12 photos. But Ntolo is the founder of an amazing disability and community-based service in Atlantis. And she's not remotely famous, but she is a remarkable leader. And I think that the reason that I'm making this point is that sometimes we confuse fame and being out there on the podium as being the nature of leadership. And actually it's not. anyone at any position in terms of fame or not fame anywhere has the potential to lead. And so actually that's an important message for us, because one of the key things that we need to do when considering the idea of leadership is to understand that we are leaders. And in fact, everybody has the potential to lead. That one of the things that great leaders do is that they inspire other people to be leaders too. That's how you build a followership, is that you make the circle bigger. And you have to be able to consider and see your own leadership before you can really see the potential in others. And so it's actually a really important thing for us to address. And so this is kind of my next point, is that the simple reality is that everyone has the potential to lead. We actually just need to believe in ourselves. That's the first fundamental. It's actually quite a simple process. We start by having the idea that we're a leader, and then we realize that leaders are great because they're doing it in teams, and so we become very good at listening, because understanding the perspectives of the people in the wider team and all wider stakeholders is the way that we become enriched and powerful, because of the information that we have around what it is that people are considering. We start to be able to add those ideas together and to form a team destination and vision. And that listening actually is the thing that helps with the creative process around understanding what it is that we need to do. If we want to lead, we're going somewhere, we're going to take a direction. And listening helps us to understand what it is that we need to do. It gives us the ability to understand what the possible options are. Okay, so that's really obvious, isn't it? and so all of us can be out there following that simple process, especially we think if there's a simple toolkit that helps us to lift motivation. So remember we said at the beginning that having a motivated team that's filled with play, purpose and potential gives us all of those motivational benefits that creates that great organizational climate that helps everyone feel engaged and motivated. That's what leads to excited and happy customers in a business context, but also other and wider things happening if it's not within a business context, all of which leads to results. So what we wanted to do was to look at that really simple framework and to help to create a solution that actually is useful to everyone. That's not one of those leadership courses that's just worth paying for senior management. Something that's accessible and useful for everyone, that can be done by teams together, so that actually everyone can be being a leader within the group, and we're sharing the rich understanding that comes out of the process. A lot of leadership courses take the leader away and then bring the leader back, but then the leader has to work quite hard to bring everybody else along the journey. So it's nice when it can be done in a team. Something that helps us to take action, so that we actually get a bit of the ideation going on as to what it is that we can do to get the results that we've decided that we want. It's quick and easy to do, so that we can overcome that. Here's 6 months of hard work before we get any benefits, but actually just get an immediate injection of energy and joy into what it is that we're trying to progress. And something that works with this idea of quite simply working with 3 simple levers in order to build play, purpose and potential into our teams. Why not just quite simply collaborate on that? Okay, so how does becoming a totally motivated leader work? Step 1 is that we've put together a diagnostic, and that diagnostic asks 4 questions, and they're the single most important questions of all in this very, very simple process. The first is, am I motivated to lead? Where am I? Do I have the energy? Do I have my own motivation sorted out? Because being motivated ourselves is like having our battery packs on in terms of being motivated to go. And then it actually asks questions about our team environment. And this could be in our team environment at work, but it can even be in our family. Many of the people that have done our TOMO course say that they've applied the principles of play, purpose, and potential to family life and seen transformational benefits. It can be within our community. It can be within our civil society life. It can be within any team or group of people that you work with. And to ask questions around how that group is working. And so very, very simple questions around, is there play? And if there's not quite as much play as there could be, what could be done in order to lift that? The next is to say, well, do we have a sense of purpose? Do we need to think about where it is that we're going to, our destination, our why we're doing this thing? Is it that then the fourth sort of area is going to ask about, fulfilling our potential? Are we doing our work from a nurture perspective to understand what it is that we want in terms of where we're going? Are we on the pathway to achieving what we want to be? And can we spend just a little bit of time putting energy into that process? And will that lift motivation and how it is that we hang together as a motivated team to perform? And then the diagnostic is always for an individual. What's quite nice is it's a tool that you can use to share if you want to talk about it. The diagnostic is not a thing that has a right and wrong answer. It's a thing that reflects a point of view, and there'll be a diversity of those. But the course itself is where the team then comes together and says, well, what is it that we can do in order to sort of tangibly lift our team motivation? It's a series of 5 quite fun webinars where you can do a little bit of work on the outside. And the idea is that you don't just learn something. By the time you come out of the process, something's different. The team has come together and has worked to collaborate on building play, purpose, and potential in order to enable motivation. So we connect with leaders over the course of time in a little bit of a different way than we did just earlier. We consider our own identity as leaders and think about what it is that we need to do in order to listen effectively. And then we choose our game plan and put together our strategy for lifting play, purpose, and potential. And we get then ready to share that with the wider world. So it's a very light, fun, and engaging and energizing experience that we think is something that can be fun to do, because quite often especially when we're remote working and separated and apart from each other, not able to have those kinds of informal conversations that we would normally have by the coffee machine or on our break or going through lunch. And so, bringing people together can be a fun way of reconnecting. So that's what we've got. So time for an interaction. I've told you a little bit about the Becoming a Totally Motivated Leader diagnostic and course now. My question is, who do you think could most benefit from this? We've made it light and fun and easy, but that doesn't mean that senior managers can't do it. They deserve to have some fun as well. Is it for junior managers? People that have been promoted but perhaps have never really been given any formalized management training, who are desperately trying to do the job well, that they were promoted because they have, but have never really been helped to manage a team? Is it all the team members because they've got something to contribute, and by having everyone in the team identify as a leader, we're really empowering the overall team to perform? Is it useful for job seekers or people that are part of our unemployed youth who are perhaps trying to understand what they can do to stand out in terms of acquiring or managing to find a role and job out there? Or is it just for everyone, and that any group or team of people should consider doing it? Looks like we're getting in some interesting input. There's a strong view that it should be for everyone. Senior managers is running parallel, and we've also got for team members, which I'm quite excited to see. But it's pretty even and level pegging. It's like when we look at these results, there isn't a very exaggerated gap. It looks like we're seeing it as being generally useful across the board, which is interesting input. I myself am conducting an active listening here. And in terms of why it's useful, I guess my next question is, why is an approach like Becoming a Totally Motivated Leader useful? Where do you see the the benefit coming from? Is it because we develop a common language that we can use easily? You know, hey, Bill, I think that we need to build some more play over here. And we give a nod and a wink, and we've got some terms that we can easily use. Is it because it presents an opportunity for us to share our ideas and to make sure that they're not unheard and wasted? Is it because it helps us to listen? Is it because it's actually engaging to work together and the team just gets an instant kick and some fun? Is it because we're stronger together? We're getting a very much a strong and an instantaneous response on people feeling that it's that we're stronger when we are together, and that it's about engaging together. It's about building the common language, also coming out very high, but it's sitting at above 8 on all of those points there. So it looks like we've broadly got good reasons around why a team motivational approach is going to be useful. I'm going to ask you guys a question, which is, why do we even need everyone to be a leader? And I've asked this, you know, in the context of where we are right now in August 2020, and the face of the challenges that we are looking at, you know, as a human race on a planet that's got a degree of sustainability challenge, where we've got economic crunch, where we've got a lot of issues that need to be dealt with, where we've got ongoing digital innovation, where we've got a whole bunch of things that could be what we want to achieve, and that we're doing that under circumstances that can be challenging. You know, it can be hard to be separated and to be distant. It can be hard when we're seeing impact on employment around us. But I want your thinking, you know, sort of, why is it that we need everyone to be a leader? And we got some really lovely answers coming in. To make our world a better place, it starts with how we raise our children. In tough times, we all need to stand up and to help and lead. I love that one. I think that that's kind of the point. We do want to need everybody out there to be pulling on this particular set of challenges that we face, don't we? Everyone needs to take ownership of their action and inaction. That's a lovely one, isn't it? It's about taking responsibility and actually feeling empowered or in control of our own life, because we see ourselves as leading our own destiny. It puts us in a position to do something, because the world is changing. Yeah, we've got to keep up, don't we? And so it's changing and we're changing, which means we need vision and destination. So leadership is really important for that reason. To develop as individuals, to make a difference to our society, and using our individual strengths to help, you know, sort of where needed. I think that's hugely important, making that positive difference. People feeling empowered to fulfill a purpose and to have fun while doing so, and to enjoy that, and to feel the reward of developing understanding and common ground. I think there's a really important one there that's about the togetherness and getting consensus and standing together, because it's a skill that's much required these days. It is. Having leadership skills is hugely rated in terms of what we're looking for. People that are able to motivate and bring teams along is a very, very valuable characteristic in anyone that's within the employment space, because it's definitely important for self-development. Also, leadership starts with yourself, and also to help you with your belief system, and to help you to be better and make a positive difference. I think all of those things are extremely personally rewarding, aren't they? So I guess that's an excellent response to that question. Very happy with that. And these are the reasons that we need everyone to be a leader. It helps us feel good, you know, so it helps us feel strong. And on that note, you know, sort of really having gone through the process of explained it to everybody, I'm obviously endeavouring to be a leader here. I'm endeavouring to motivate a team. I'm going to ask the audience that's dialed in, for whatever reason, why you've dialed in, and based on what you've seen, how would you like to engage? Are you here because you would actually like to do this course? You think that it would be useful perhaps for you and your team? Is it because you think it's a thing that's worth promoting? Would you like to get involved with, we've got a role open for a sales and marketing manager at the moment, and we were looking for people that are going to be sort of able to really connect with the content, to believe in it, and who've got ideas around how to take the offering into the wider world. So are you one of the people that might be interested in promoting the course as a part of a role? Is it because actually you want to get involved in the delivery? You love the idea of facilitating and engaging with teams that are figuring this stuff out, and you want to and would be interested in doing online facilitation? Is that a skill set that appeals to you? Would you have play? Would it give you a feeling of purpose? And would you feel that you were fulfilling your potential if you were involved in the facilitation space? And we're actually getting quite a strong response on people that are interested in promoting the course, which is wonderful. That's something that Panda is definitely looking for at the moment, blended with definitely above 2.5, which is the halfway point for doing the course. We want people to buy the course and to do it. We're offering a promotional discount for everybody that dialed in today, and everybody that registers to watch the course. So that's definitely 25% off in our very new, live, exciting e-commerce store, which we've just made live. It's going through its soft launch phase at the moment, and we're hoping that we're going to be able to push and get the course out through that channel. And definitely some people also interested in facilitation. So this becomes relevant because definitely in terms of the follow-up, what we're looking to do is to connect with people that do want to engage. That's the reason that we're doing the webinar here today. Okay, so that's becoming a totally motivated leader. It's live in our e-commerce store. What's its destination? Its destination is to help us all to understand and to identify with the idea that we are leaders. Big call to action. We need leaders on planet Earth right now. That we know that leadership is a real job that takes real time. In the face of the tasks that we do, we need to spend time connecting with our people. That we understand that our own motivation matters, because if our energy is depleted, we are unable to be as energized and as effective as if sort of we are motivated ourselves to be considering using these three convenient levers: play, purpose, and potential, as a simple framework for ourselves and our wider team to work together to build motivation, and to believe that we're great leaders and that great leaders are responsible for enabling other leaders, making the circle bigger, helping other people to engage and to get involved. So that's us. I also want to tell you about a fantastic course that's going to be having its webinar next Thursday, and it's like a twin sister course to this one, whereas our Becoming a Totally Motivated Leader course is our sort of easy, fun, and sort of first tier product. There's this amazing course that has been put together by Louise Berard, who's one of our authors. It's called Instilling a Coaching Mindset Whilst Leading Your Virtual Team. And it's all based around this incredible sort of analogy of the baobab. So we look at it through the strength of the baobab, and we look at a coaching mindset and how we can build that in ourselves and in wider people. So we're really hoping that people will dial in and see all about that as in our next webinar. And that is kind of it in terms of what I wanted to get through in terms of presentation before moving into the Q&A phase. So I'm going to invite Suzanne. Suzanne, are you there? Have there been questions? What are people asking?
Hey, Christy. So our group was a bit quiet on the chat, but I thought maybe it's a good idea, if you'd like, some of the questions that came up on our social media and webpage that I could quickly ask them. So maybe it could be useful for people to hear what those questions were.
Go for it.
Okay, so let me have a look here. So we had a very good question where someone just said, we just want to know who delivers the course.
Okay, so the course is delivered by our online facilitation team here at Impanda, and what we're doing is we're experiencing quite a lot of demand in terms of that. So we are reaching out to grow that team and to share our online facilitation sort of technique. The diagnostic itself you do on your own. You don't need to have a facilitator for that part of the process. But at the moment, the becoming a totally motivated leader element is facilitated by an online facilitator. We are thinking, funnily enough, of converting it into a process that leaders can do with their teams in an automated way, but we're not quite there yet. That's one for the future pipeline.
Great. So we also had this excellent question where they asked, where is the course sold and promoted?
Okay, so the course is hosted in our all new Juno store, which is on our website. And so we're extremely excited by that having gone live. It's going to be about 2 weeks until the diagnostic is properly, fully live, but we are taking pre-orders now. So it's on the e-commerce store. And of course, you can always contact us through any of the other channels. All of those are also communicated on the website.
Okay, and then there's a question that came in from Zita now. So basically what she's asking is a good question. She's saying, can senior managers and junior managers do it together, or would you actually split up these two groups?
I think it's an excellent idea for people to do the course together, right the way across any kind of hierarchical sort of structure that there might be, because that's what encourages the listening process in terms of the ideas. So there's a lot of the course is based on listening and pulling together a perspective around what's going on. And so it's a very, very good idea to pull in people across the full range of roles and levels of seniority.
And I think there was another interesting question, and I think it also came out in your presentation where people were asking, well, I'm not employed currently, and I'm young. Is it suitable for me if I'm not employed and without a job currently?
I think in particular the diagnostic is, because I think it's very empowering to take a really simple perspective on where you are at a personal motivation level and what you can be doing to build positive motivation using play, purpose and potential, because it can help to trigger action that actually results in positive outcomes in terms of whatever it is that one wants in terms of destination. So having direction and having energy is actually almost more critical if you're trying to get on the job ladder than if you've already secured a position, because it can be demoralizing if motivation levels, sort of drop. So very, very good if you're young and looking at trying to get engaged in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Christine, and then I'm going to be a little bit sneaky by saying there was a question yesterday, so I'm going to get my answer now. If people want to set up meetings with you, can they do that, and can they customize courses?
Okay, so you can. I think that one of the things that we've always done is that we've had a conversation before running one of our mainstream courses, with the sort of the primary client or leader to understand what their rationale for having the course is, because then we're able to infuse that sort of mandate or reason into the course, and so it's a very good idea. And in fact necessary. We tend to call it calibrate. It's just where we sort of take a pre-brief and we understand the tempo, possibly any challenges or opportunities that are sitting out there, in order to make sure that we're getting the context right as a facilitation team. So definitely, yeah.
Christy, we just got a question in. Thank you very much, Darlene. With regards to the course, what is the success rate for the course? You have ever determined?
It's a really interesting question, because there is a measure, there is a TOMO measure, And I've been experimenting on the impandas for about 3 years now. It works like an index. So there's a score, there's a simple questionnaire. This is actually one of the Vega Factor products. It's a way of doing a survey to assess where your total motivation level is. It goes down to sort of like minus 100 if someone is catastrophically demotivated, through to sort of like 100 if you're ultra motivated, with 0 being kind of the normal and expected place to be. And we do that as part of once a year, as part of our where we are our team motivation levels sort of process. And definitely over the course of the last couple of years, we've seen that number going up. So there is a measure, and it's completely unique to the individual. It's completely unique when you compare it to the individual. But definitely, when you pay attention to motivation levels, you will start to see that number shift. And so, very, very good question indeed. Well done.
That's all that I have from my side.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We're going to be post-processing the webinar recording and putting it out there. Thank you very, very much for joining today. If you didn't join today, but you